money market. Okay. Okay, they also have a repo. Alright. So for the Islamic bank, they also have repo. But in Islamic bank, we not call as a repo. Okay, we call it as a SBDA, sell and buyback agreement. Okay, in Islamic banking, we not call repo, but we call SBDA. Okay, this is actually alternative for the repo. Okay, for the Islamic banking. And also tender for the BNM papers. Okay, in managing the short position, they invite investment from the bank. Okay, sell stock of liquid Islamic asset. Okay, initiate reverse repo or reverse SPA, and also seek BNM as the lender of last resort. Okay, how they manage their position, how they manage their liquidity, and how they manage their risk. Also same with the conventional, but the instrument that they choose to involve must be Sharia compliant. Okay. First, Islamic interbank money market. In Malaysia, the Islamic interbank money market was developed to operate in parallel with the conventional money market. Okay. Islamic interbank, meaning that interbank or money market for the bank, for the banking institution. Okay. Since its inception in 1994, the Islamic interbank money market has evolved to become an important component of the overall Islamic financial system. Okay, it provides a venue for Islamic banking institutions to manage their liquidity via sourcing and investing in the short-term Sharia compliant financial instruments. Okay, we also have conventional interbank money market, and we also have Islamic interbank money market. Okay. The instruments are comparable with the conventional money market and developed by the government, central bank, and other players. Okay. The instrument for the Islamic bank, okay, what are the instruments that are provided by the in the conventional money market? Okay, also provided in Islamic interbank money market, but they will use different contracts. The mutarabah or ijarah has to ensure that all the instruments are Sharia compliant. Okay, apart from the riba. Okay. BNM has developed several instruments to facilitate effective management of liquidity position in Islamic financial system. Okay. The central bank not only develop the instruments for the conventional, but they also take an alternative to develop the instrument for the Islamic banking institution, because the needs of the conventional banking and the needs of Islamic banking is the same. They need to manage their position, their liquidity, their risk. So they have to have interbank money market for the Islamic perspective, based on the Islamic perspective. Okay, particularly for the Sharia compliant or Islamic bank. Okay. Mechanism for the acceptance and the placement of interbank deposit were developed based on wadi'ah and mutarabah contract respectively. Okay. If they offer, if they receive or accept deposit, so normally based on wadi'ah. If they place a deposit, okay, normally based on mudarabah. Modification based on mudarabah. BNM also introduced a Sharia compliance alternative to repo called sales and buyback agreement (SBDA). The alternative to repo and other money market instruments developed by BNM, including bank negara monetary networks. We also have conventional BNM notes and also Islamic BNM notes. Okay. This is some of the instruments under the Islamic money market. Okay, so we have government investment. investment issue, we have Islamic treasury bills, bank negara monetary notes, bank negara suku al-ijara, interbank investment, commodity derivative murabahah, and also commodity murabahah investment. And this is the contract that used for this instrument, okay, in order to make sure that these instruments are parallel with the Sharia compliance. Okay, so they use PBA, bayarina, okay, ijara, mudarabah, murabahah, okay, to for the money market instruments. Trading of Islamic financial instruments. Interbank money market creates a secondary market where participants trade all the available Islamic financial instruments. Okay, in interbank money market, Islamic interbank money market, they also have secondary trading. Okay, the market allows easy access to the Islamic instruments. Okay, and also provide liquidity in the market for the financial instrument, and they also allow for trading and arbitraging, which is between the instrument with the same tenure and between the same tenure, different tenure, but in the same class of instruments. Okay, clear? Or do you have any question on this? Okay. Okay, each instrument is different from one another in terms of risk, profile, yield, tenure, marketability, and also liquidity. The first instrument we look at the mudarabah interbank investment and financing. Mudarabah interbank investment and financing. Okay, this is similar to interbank lending and borrowing in the conventional money market. Okay, mudarabah interbank investment and financing is a kind of transaction of borrowing and lending. Okay, the basis is borrowing and lending. The same goes to in the conventional. Okay, we borrow and we lend. Okay, it is a system where the deficit Islamic bank, okay, obtains investment from a surplus Islamic bank on the basis of mudarabah. Okay, the surplus unit or the surplus Islamic bank, they give financing to the other deficit Islamic bank. Okay, based on the concept of mudarabah, which is profit sharing. Okay. Under this system, both parties negotiate and agree on the amount, tenure of investment, and profit sharing ratio. Okay, since we involve in mudarabah, so we have to determine the profit sharing ratio, because the relationship between the lender and the borrower is partnership, not between the lender and the borrower, but the relationship is based on the partnership. That's why we have to determine the profit sharing ratio, how they have to allocate or how they have to distribute the profit. Okay. Okay, before we continue, did you receive my additional materials on Islamic interbank money market, on time instrument and their pricing? This is an article, okay, from Azlan Hassan, Kurabia, and also Burhan Saidi, okay, on the Islamic interbank money market, okay, which is it discuss about the contract, investment instrument, and also the pricing of the interbank money market instrument. Okay, it's quite interesting to discuss here, okay, which is actually is quite related with your topics. Okay, but this explanation is more detailed, okay, on the Islamic interbank money market. Okay, as you can see in the introduction here, can you see it? Okay. An interbank market provides a bank with a lower cost of obtaining fund. Okay, interbank money market is one of the place that provide the financing, okay, to deficit Islamic bank at the lowest cost. Okay, so called as a cheap money. Okay, compared to other fundraising activities. Okay, the activities of obtaining funds in interbank money market is conventionally done through borrowing and lending. Okay, in interbank money market, for the conventional, okay, the relationship between the parties, which is borrower and lender. But for the Islamic bank, they will use, okay, mudharabah, okay, mudharabah contract. In the Malaysia Islamic interbank money market, okay, bank can raise cheap funds from the interbank players and corporate customer on a short-term basis, normally between overnight and until 1 year. Okay. Okay, whenever the bank having a short position, okay, however, the transaction in interbank money market, okay, rarely involve in borrowing and lending transaction. Instead, the use of other contracts, so buying and selling, investment agency, and leasing and other contracts under the Islamic, under the Sharia principle. Okay. So this is okay. Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad is the first Islamic bank in Malaysia, began in 1983. Okay, the bank is not allowed to involve in borrowing and lending transactions. Okay, due to the restriction for involving in the lending and borrowing, because the lending involved with the riba. So they create, okay, the BNM issue the government investment issues, okay, as an alternative for the bank to get a financing, or for the government to get a financing. So this is basically the function of the Islamic interbank money market. Okay, basically we have two main functions. Okay, the first function is to provide Islamic financial institution with the facility for funding. Okay, the function for the Islamic interbank money market in order to provide financing to Islamic financial institution, and second, to serve as a channel for transmission of monetary policy. Okay, we go to the okay, this is actually some of the development of BNM operation in Islamic interbank money market. We can see the development from since 1994, okay, until 2009. Okay. Okay, this is contracts that normally used in Islamic interbank money market. Okay, we use mudharabah for the mudharabah interbank instrument, Cagamas mudharabah bond, Islamic negotiable instrument of deposit, and Islamic securities. This is the contract, and this is the instrument that apply the Islamic concept, okay, under the Islamic interbank money market. Okay. So we can see different instrument, they use a different contract. The first instrument, okay. In interbank money market, Islamic interbank money market, we have two categories of instrument. Okay. The first category is deposit and placement. This is the first category. Okay, here I highlight here deposit and placements, which is first category of Islamic interbank money market, and second category is paper trading, or the investment instruments. Okay, the first is deposit and second is investment instruments. Okay, first we go to the deposit and placement. Okay, one of the example is the mudharabah interbank instrument. Okay, this is what we have seen here: mudharabah interbank investment and financing. Okay, this is actually one of the example for the deposit and also placement. So in this category, okay, it operates under the concept of profit sharing, okay, whereby a party surplus fund, okay, provides funds to other parties or users to invest or trade and generate profit, and both share the profit in pre-agreed proportion. Meaning that the surplus Islamic bank, okay, will provide the Islamic bank. Okay, who needs a capital? Okay, they use the concept of partnership. Okay, mudharabah. Okay, in this case, they have to predetermine the profit sharing ratio between the capital provider and also the other banks or the entrepreneur. We call this an entrepreneur. Okay, in this case, okay. Under the mudharabah contract, any loss is to be borne by the investing party. Will be borne by the fund provider. Okay, this is normal characteristic of mudharabah contract. Okay, period of investment range from the overnight until 1 year period. Okay, minimum amount of investment is 50,000. This is basically how we price the mudharabah interbank investment and financing. Okay, they are actually the main component is actually two. Okay, first we have EGR, which is own expected gross rate. Okay, sorry, expected gross rate of return, and second component is profit sharing. Okay, and the third component, which is the effective yield. Okay, we calculate based on the EGR and also profit sharing ratio. What is EGR, or expected gross rate of return? Okay, is a reflect of each party previous average rate of return on investment over a period of time. A bank's EGR is updated periodically, normally on 16th of every month. EGR means that the bank, they have a track record. Okay, track record. Let's say in the previous rate is 6%. Okay, that is the track record. So they expect that this bank will at least have the rate 6%. They expect. Okay, first is the expectation. This is not the actual rate. This is expectation based on the previous record of the bank. Okay, let's say bank A invest in bank B. Okay, so bank B need money. Okay, bank A invest in bank B, and the track record for bank B, okay, the rate is 6%. Let's say. So the bank A expect that, okay, the rate for the bank B, it will share based on profit sharing is 6%. At least they will receive 6%. Okay, based on previous record. Okay. While for the profit sharing, if the fund providers and the users of fund negotiate for the distribution of profit and expressed by profit sharing, let's say 68% and 32%. Okay. In that 68% to the fund provider and another 32% for the entrepreneur or to the bank B who needs money. Okay. And the effective yield, okay, how we calculate the effective yield is using the effective rate and also actual gross rate. Okay. Okay. When we look at the formula, the effective rate of return. Effective rate of returns means that rate that the bank will distribute to the partners, into his partner, to the fund provider. Okay, how we calculate the rate? First is price, which is amount of investment. Okay, let's say the bank A invests 1 million. So P equal to 1 million times AGR is actual gross rate. First we have expected, right? We expect, but now, okay, at the end of the investment period, they will happen the actual rate. Okay? But the actual rate not necessarily same with the expected gross rate. Okay? So we use actual gross rate times profit sharing ratio divided by 100 times T, which is tenure of the investment, divided by 365 days. Okay? Do you understand? You can see an example in order for you to more understand. Okay. Let's say if bank ABC invests 1 million with bank at XYZ. ABC invest 1 million at bank XYZ for 30 days. Okay. Profit sharing ratio is negotiated at 75-25. Okay. Assuming based on the prevailing record, based on the previous record, the EGR of the bank XYZ, XYZ means bank that needs funds. Okay, is 5.5%. Okay, the expected is 5.5. Okay, so bank ABC can therefore expect to receive a net return of 4.125. How we got 4.125? How we got? 5.5% here times 75% for the profit sharing ratio. You got the answer? 5.5 times 4.125, right? Okay, so 4.125 is the profit to the investor or to bank ABC, and the remaining profit goes to the banks at YZ. This is how they determine the rate, the profit for the bank, for the investors. Okay. Therefore, however, upon maturity of the investment, upon maturity of the investment, bank XYZ AGR has increased to 6. Instead of 5.5, okay, the expected rate, the actual one increased to 6. So, we calculate the return to the bank ABC based on 6%, based on the actual rate. But the previous record is 5.5. They expect to receive at least 4.125% profit from the business. But at the end of the maturity date, the rate increased to 6%. So 1 million times 6%, which is actual gross rate, okay, times 30 days, okay, times 0.75, which is the profit sharing ratio, okay, divided by 365. Okay, please try to calculate how much do you got. You got the answer? So 3,698 ringgit.63 is returned to bank ABC. Return to the investor. Okay, return to the investor. Okay, here this is the modus operandi for the mudharabah interbank investment. Okay, we have bank A, which is rumah who provide capital, and we have mudharib. So at the first day, the bank A will give a capital or principal. Okay, but at the end of the maturity date, the bank A will receive principal plus profit based on the profit sharing and based on effective yield. Okay, so try to calculate this example. There is an issue, okay, under the mudharabah interbank instrument, instrument. Okay, the issue is, okay, since the rate, okay, the actual rate is depend on the record. Okay, the bank, okay, if you can see here, okay, the bank B can only declare the rate at the end of the maturity period. At the first stage, they just expect based on previous record, but the actual period, the actual rate will be declared at the end of the maturity period. Due to this, okay, money or who receive funds will declare lowest rate in order for them to give small profit to the investor. So this will increase the unfairness to the investor because they will declare the lowest rate. If they declare, let's say the actual gross rate is 6, but they declare only 4%. So it's unfair to the investor, right? So due to this issue, okay, the central bank, Bank Negara Malaysia or Central Bank revised the rule by setting a minimum benchmark rate for the mudharabah interbank instrument. Instead of allowing the bank to declare, but the central bank take an alternative to revise, okay, the minimum rate the bank should declare for the mudharabah interbank instrument. Okay, with this revision, the minimum rate of return for mudharabah interbank instrument was set to equal prevailing rate of the GIC. Let's say the bank invests 1 million, okay, for 30 days. Okay. At the end of the 30 days, okay, they have to look the rate for the government investment certificate. If the rate is 5%, okay, for the GIC, okay, so they have to plus 0.5%. How to determine the minimum? They have two categories. The first category, okay, prevailing rate of the GIA of the same tenure plus 0.5%. Okay, here. Okay, if rate that declared by the bank, which is R, is highest than the GIC plus 0.5, okay, so they will use rate that the bank declared. Okay. But if the bank declares the lowest rate, which is the rate or R is less than GIC plus 0.5, they have to use the rate for GIC plus 0.5. Which one the highest? R is actual rate that declared by the we can say as a declared by the borrowing bank. Okay. So if the borrowing bank declared the lowest rate, if the rate or the R is lower than GIC plus 0.5, so they have to use GIC plus 0.5. If the R is higher than GIC plus 0.5, so they have to use R. Which one the highest? In order to be fair to the investor. Okay? Okay, try to calculate this question. Okay, suppose Maybank Islamic has surplus of 10 million that it wish to place for 6 months in interbank money market. Okay, CIMB Bank on the other hand is in need of liquidity. Okay, assume it needs 10 million for 6 months. Let's say Maybank they have short position, so they need they have a surplus position 10 million, and CIMB Bank needs money. So the Maybank invest in CIMB Bank 10 million. So P equal to 10 million. Okay, for 6 month period. We assume the negotiated P profit sharing ratio is 70-30, meaning that 70 to Maybank, which is to the investor, and another 30% to the CIMB Bank. Okay. CIMB Bank declared gross profit in the year when investment deposit is made. Okay, this is how they declare. Okay, assume that CIMB Bank rate, okay, equal to 7%. And 7%, then in this case they say that R is more or higher than GIC plus 0.5%. So they have to use R. Yes, 7%. Okay, so please try to calculate. Using the formula in the slide.